What's going on, everyone? While the market had a decent day today, you guys will not believe some of the news that came out today. I literally can't believe it. It's some of the craziest stuff that I've seen in a long time. We have an awesome video today for everyone. Tom will not be with us today. He'll be back with us next week. But with that being said, let's jump right into it. So some of you might be familiar with the company called Unity, right? Unity Software, they fell by around 3% today, and basically they ended up raising their prices like many other companies have over the past couple months in the past year, but Unity customers are enraged to a new level, so much so that Unity actually received a potential death threat because of the way they increased their prices. So long story short, Unity basically introduced this runtime fee to their customers and developers. Their customers were not happy with it at all. Some basically said, F this, I'm going somewhere else, where others took it much more seriously. As we can see, Unity actually ended up having to close 2 of their offices. So that's the crazy news for today. It's definitely not something you see every day, and looking at Unity stock, it definitely did not have that good of a day as you'd expect. And what's interesting is a lot of times when we see companies raise prices, the stock normally ends up in a pretty positive way because the company will, make more money and increase their revenues and adjust for inflation and all that good stuff. But with Unity, the situation's a little bit more unique because it seems like their customers are pretty pissed off, and there is a whole lot of we'll say backlash because of these increased prices, and it looks like a lot of people are going to be leaving Unity. So that's the crazy news of the day. Keep a close eye on this one going forward, as the stock should be a little bit extra volatile for tomorrow. But on another note, and on a very serious note, some of you have a very strong addiction to chip stocks like Nvidia and AMD, and today is sort of like another gift to you, in the sense that today was actually the day of the biggest IPO of the year, which is ARM Holdings. Basically, they are a powerhouse semiconductor or chip company. They just IPO'd. The stock popped in a pretty awesome way today. The ticker symbol is ARM, so all of you fiends out there for chip stocks like AMD and Nvidia, you know who you are. You have another stock to watch now, ticker symbol ARM. This stock is moving with some pretty serious momentum, and going into some more details with it. Like I said, it was the biggest IPO of the year. Basically, what's interesting about this is SoftBank actually owns around 90% of ARM stock, which is pretty significant. All in all, this company is now valued around $60 billion, which is, pretty strong. On top of that, they have a price to earnings ratio of around 110 right now, which is pretty damn high. So, this is not a stock that I will be buying to hold for the long term right now, but for short term trading, this is where it's at right now. It's seeing a lot of volatility, lots of crazy movement. It started off trading for around $55 a share, popped all the way up to 62, then fell down to 58, and then went as high as 66. So it's moving with some great momentum. What's also worth noting about this stock is that basically SoftBank sold around 95 million shares of ARM. And with that being said, if we look at the volume for ARM today, it was actually in the 127 million share range. So basically what that means is that this stock is seeing a lot more action compared to the total supply out there. So it's very possible, given that it's a chip stock and it's a brand new IPO, and there's so much action with it, that this stock can be one of the most volatile stocks to watch over the next couple days. Like I said, it should be great for trading, but at least for me, it's not a stock I'm going to buy and hold right now because, in my opinion, the valuation's ridiculous. So that is that there. But speaking of chip stocks, how can we talk about chip stocks but not talk about the powerhouse, Nvidia? So last week, Tom and I talked about how the CEO of Nvidia actually started dumping the bag, right? Started selling some shares, and we warned that, at least by Tom and my analysis, in the past when the CEO of NVIDIA sells shares, he sells them in clusters, right? So basically when he was selling shares on, you could say September 6th and then September 11th, we're like, hey, watch out, like he might dump even more. And basically that's exactly what just happened. He sold even more shares. Now over basically for the 14 days of September so far, he has sold around $100 million worth of NVIDIA stock. And while, his net worth is, insane, $100 million isn't too much to him. It's still a very important sign to keep in mind, because the last time he sold shares, it was where these 3 stars are on the chart right there. And if you look at that, that was actually pretty perfect timing for NVIDIA. He sold it basically right before the stock fell by like 50 to 60%. So, given he's the CEO, given he's dumping $100 million worth of shares, and given the fact that he had pretty dang good timing last time, it's just worth keeping in mind going forward that NVIDIA, might start to act a little bit differently. So just keep that in mind. Anytime you see the CEO of a company selling, $100 million worth of shares, regardless of their net worth, it's worth noting. So keep that close on watch going forward. So yeah, that is the main news for today. Tom's not with us, so that means we're going to get right into the fun stuff, which are some setups and predictions for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely is the mouse, Disney. And if I'm being completely honest, Disney has been an absolute shit show over the past 2 years. And if you don't believe me, look at their stock. It literally went from $202 all the way down to basically 80, right? And this is happening at a time where many other stocks are, some are at all-time highs, but even if they're not at all-time highs, we're seeing a lot of other stocks at least have a somewhat decent recovery, where with Disney, it's just week after week after week after week. It's just a continuous beatdown, we'll say. But today was actually a little bit optimistic. So Disney is actually at a very historic low point right now, which is right around $80 a share, which ended up being the low in COVID. So it's a giant support level. On top of that, 80 has acted as a huge support in the past. This is a level that Disney has respected all the way since 2014, right? So it's been almost, 10 years, we'll say, and it's back, it's basically done nothing for 10 years, the stock. But what's interesting right now and what we're seeing and where the opportunity lies is we can see at least over the past week or two, Disney has been seeing some daylight, right? Intraday, we see some decent pops with Disney to the upside, but also to the downside. And basically, we had some news today where Disney is trying to get rid of their ABC, I guess you could say, company. You guys all know ABC News. Basically, with Disney, they've been trying to dump these traditional, what we'll call news sources or just companies, and focus more on what they're good at, like their parks and streaming and all that good stuff. And basically, the fact that they're in preliminary talks to sell ABC to Nexstar is a sign of things getting better at Disney, we'll say, right? They're doing things they want to do that should hopefully help them focus on what they're good at and continue to grow. So this news really helped skyrocket Disney today. It really just blasted the shares pretty high intraday, and it's even running in after hours. So I will be watching Disney pretty closely to the upside for tomorrow. The news, at least over the past 2 weeks, has been pretty good. It's basing off of a giant support level right now. And normally when Disney has, good news or just a change of momentum, we could see that, at least historically speaking, it does normally last for at least a couple weeks, or in some instances, a couple of months. So Disney's a stock I'll be watching pretty closely to the upside for tomorrow and next week. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is PENN, and I guess you could say coincidentally, PENN also just had a deal with Disney where basically they are going to work together with Disney's ESPN bet. Penn shares are trading at also pretty historical low levels. It's right around the $23 price point, which, has been a very historical support area in the past. Penn, at one point during the pandemic, had all of the hype with it. It was a $141 stock, and now it's back in the trenches all the way back down to 23. Looking at it right now, it has some perfect bullish short-term momentum right now, and I will be watching it very closely to the upside. This stock, while it's not as famous or as hyped up as, stocks like Tesla or Nvidia or Apple or AMD or any stock like that, it still does have some really good moves. And just looking at today's price action, it had basically a 9% up day. So it's a stock I'll be watching pretty closely for tomorrow. You can catch some pretty good moves with this one, and a lot of times it can fly under the radar. One thing I also really like about this one is the fact that it does not even care what the overall market does. If we look in the top right corner of my screen right now, we can see that it has a weak correlation to the market, and it's slightly negative. So like even if the market itself is down, Penn's like, oh, don't care, I'll just do whatever I want, which is a good thing in this market because, sometimes the market's been pretty shaky lately. So I do like having that benefit of, not needing the market to also go up. So those are two stocks I'll be watching pretty closely for tomorrow. They are seeing some pretty good inflows. But one thing I want to touch on really quickly is if you've been struggling with the market lately, or if you need some extra help with support and resistance levels, you guys have to check out Bookmap. I use Bookmap all the time, and if you're in the StockedUp Discord, it's posted all the time, especially by Manny. Basically, Bookmap shows you in real time where buy orders and sell orders are lined up, and basically it's kind of like X-ray vision, but for stocks, because you can see exactly where buyers and sellers are lined up, and it shows you like hidden support levels that you would never otherwise see. If you want to try out Bookmap, it'll be that first link in the description and the comments down below. It's absolutely amazing. And what's cool, because you're a StockedUp YouTube viewer, you will also get a discount, but only if you use the link down below. So check it out. It's pretty awesome, and there's really nothing else like it. So keep that in mind as well for the market right now. But back to some potential plays. It's now time for the momentum plays. And with today's first one, we have JP Morgan, a bank stock that had a pretty solid day today. It ran up under the radar, and it had like a 2% day. So basically for tomorrow, I'm looking for JP Morgan to rip above the $150 level. If it does, I'll look at it for calls. With the next one, we have PayPal, also to the upside. And if this one breaks above the $64.60 level, I will also be watching this one for calls. And then last but not least, we can't forget the crazy stock, Alibaba, and this one's for both directions. If it breaks below the downside level at $87.65, I'll be watching this one to the downside. And if it rips above the level at $89, I will be watching it to the upside. So keep a close eye on these three stocks as well for the momentum plays. But it's now about that time for my favorite part of the video, which is the big money trade of the day. And we are looking at an airline stock, American Airlines, that has taken quite the beating over the years, we'll say. Looking at AAL, it has all-time highs right around the $59 level that it made in 2018 between COVID and the airline industry overall and just everything. This stock has taken quite the beating. And right now, it's right around $13.26. Basically, today, we saw a big money hedge fund trader put around $1.3 million into the AAL 14 strike call options that expire on January 19th of 2024. Looking at AAL, over the past couple months especially, the stock is pretty oversold. It fell off a cliff from 19 down to $13.26, which is a very severe sell-off. And a lot of times in the past when we've seen drops this quickly and this severely, we have seen AAL bounce back. So keep a close eye on AAL to the upside over the next couple months as well. basically with these big money trades, it's not like they're just randomly, it's not like they just like put a bunch of stocks in like a hat and just like randomly pick one and say, all right, I'm going to put $1 million into this one today. It's not how it works, right? So basically the reasoning behind following big money, multi-million-dollar hedge fund trades is the fact that if you can follow what the hedge funds are doing, what these whales are doing who are trading, millions of dollars at a time, a lot of times it can be beneficial. So keep this in mind going forward. AAL is looked at in a bullish way by the big money. And if you guys like the idea of following, big money trades or at least keeping them in mind, you have to subscribe to the Stocked Up YouTube channel. We talk about big money, multi-million-dollar hedge fund trades in every single video. So make sure to subscribe. Not only do we talk about hedge fund trades, but also the most relevant news you need to know about now, some great setups going forward, and basically everything you need to know to, trade the markets. We take hours to make these videos the right way. So by subscribing, you'll see them more often, and it also supports the channel. So why not, right? But looking at everything right now, the market held up just fine today. We saw some pretty decent movement out of Disney, Penn, and some other stocks. Basically, looking at the market right now, I would still say it's kind of at a standstill between the recent bullish price action and then on a longer term chart, the more bearish price action, like the formation of lower highs that we've been seeing with SPY. We're just kind of stuck in a standstill, so I'm not overly bearish. I'm not overly bullish either, but I do think something that will be extremely important going into tomorrow and even the next couple weeks, more so now than the rest of this year, is being able to adapt. And those of you who watch the channel all the time, I've been saying this quite a lot lately, but it's just so key because some days we have times where the market's just like, you know what, I'm going to sell off all day long and I'm barely going to pop up at all. Some days we have the market that is very flat, and some days like today we have a lot of bullish momentum. If you are someone who is only a bull or only a bear, you can take a beating right now, right? So being able to adapt and adjust to current market conditions can strongly work in your favor. So that's just one thing I recommend going forward. Have that adaptability in mind and, keep that in mind because it's not like bulls are fully in control right now and bears surely aren't either. One other thing I want to highlight really quickly is today's member of the day, Kyle Am in the Profits channel. He had an awesome post today. Basically, he had a 770% gainer with Goldman Sachs call options. Absolutely amazing job, Kyle. You've been in the chat for around 2.5 years now, and you've been a great member. So huge shout out to you. And I also want to give a huge shout out to everyone in the Profits channel. You guys have been kicking some butt lately. So awesome job. Keep up all the great work. And, like I said, guys, if you're not using Bookmap already, you got to try it out. It's that first link in the description in the comments down below. A bunch of people in the Discord use it, and it's posted all the time. And where else are you going to see direct buying and selling pressure visualized like this? It's X-ray vision for stocks, and it's perfect, especially if you want to get real-time support and resistance levels. So definitely check it out. And of course, the cherry on top is with Stocked Up, you save. So if you use the link down below, you will save money with Bookmap. But all in all, guys, the market should be pretty exciting tomorrow. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe. And besides that, let's have an amazing end to the week.